Hi Sarah, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing all right.
You doing all right?
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that today, since I've seen you for a few sessions, that we could do some treatment planning.
Okay.
Yeah, would that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to divide the treatment plan into a couple levels, goals, and then objectives, which are like steps that you would engage in to meet those goals.
Okay.
Right. So you have like a kind of a broad goal, and then these specific objectives. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this process at all?
Yeah, I think I had a treatment plan before with another therapist.
Okay, great. So I know we've talked over the last few weeks about some different relational struggles you've had and various elements, but I want to know, and today I just want to work on 2 goals, and we might add to that later, but I would like to know a couple of goals that you would have for our counseling.
Okay.
Right. So we'll just kind of start with the first and then work on some objectives for that, and then we'll move to the second and work on some objectives for that. So what would be a goal of these counseling sessions that you might want to achieve?
Well, lately I've been really having a hard time. I'm not getting along too well with my brothers.
Okay.
So I would like to try to maybe work on that. Have a better relationship with my brothers.
So work on a better relationship with your brothers. So let's say maybe improving the relationship with your brothers?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. So what do you think is getting in the way of having a good relationship with your brothers now?
Well, they always are, they say sometimes I call them too often, and that I only call them when I need something, or if I want to complain. I don't feel like that's the case, but that's what they tell me. And so, like, they don't return my phone calls that much anymore, or they just won't. They're not there for me supportively. Like I'm there for them.
Okay, so they're detecting like a difference in the level of support. You mentioned before, maybe last week, that sometimes when you call, you're angry with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll say some things that.
Yeah, because
anger.
sometimes they act like fools, and somebody needs to, I'm their sister. Somebody needs to be honest with them and tell them what they're doing is wrong.
Do you think that's contributing to the relational difficulties?
I mean, they know that I'm going to tell them like it is. They know I'm going to be honest. That's how I am.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it is.
So maybe before calling them, kind of looking at the content you were going to put in that call, and if it's angry, maybe waiting until you can adjust it to something more neutral or positive.
So not call them when I'm angry with them?
Yeah, waiting until that emotion kind of dissipates a little, and you can replace it with something more positive. And we can get into ways later on how to do that with, cognitive therapy. But I'm wondering if that might be a good objective, one of the objectives.
Yeah, I think that might help a little bit if I'm not as angry when I call them. It would help me to not, be so mean.
Okay. So that'd be one objective. So no calling when angry.
Okay.
Right? And I guess part of that too, we'll get to, would be applying the cognitive techniques so that you're able to do that. But that would be the objective. Okay. How about other objectives? For that goal of improving the relationship.
Well, I know my one brother, he got really mad at me because I had called my other brother and told him all this stuff, that my brother, that he did, and I kind of was talking badly about the one to the other, and
Kind of like a little divisive, like splitting them apart.
yeah, like kind of pitting them against each other.
Okay.
And I know that caused a big problem. He didn't talk to me for a couple weeks after that.
So that really bothered him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How'd you feel about it?
Well, it's kind of like I said, if you make me mad or you do something I don't like, I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm going to tell everybody else how it is too. So I kind of felt like I wasn't lying.
Mm-hmm.
I was just being honest, but he didn't like that.
That didn't go over so well.
No, they sort of got in a fight between each other, and they both kind of stopped talking to me for a little while.
So how important is this goal of improving the relationship with your brothers? Like, say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important.
Oh, it's important. It's like a 9.
It's like a 9. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know,
maybe,
with my parents gone, it's just my brothers. That's all I have, and I just love them so much. So
they're a big part of your life.
Big part of my life.
All right. So even though you feel justified in being direct with them, that seems to be hurting the relationship a little, and that relationship is important to you. So you're kind of a little stuck between those two things. So how about an objective like not talking to one about the other?
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because that's what got me in trouble last time with them, when they didn't talk to me for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
what they seemed to be the most mad about.
So if you're gonna say anything about one to the other, it would have to be kind of positive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so no negative
No
talk.
negative talk. Okay.
Yeah. And again, we'll look at cognitive techniques really for a lot of these objectives we go through to help you to be able to do that. But that would be the objective. So no negative talk to one brother about the other.
Okay.
All right. Does that sound like something you can do?
Yeah, I think I can try it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. I know you mentioned before too that even though you've had a stressful relationship with your brothers, that they keep extending invitations out to you.
Yeah.
Like to come out, like
To go to dinner
Dinner.
at their house, and go to their kids' sports games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do as a family.
So that's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened when they've extended those offers to socialize?
Well, sometimes I go, but sometimes things come up. Like maybe I have a date or I'm spending time with someone else, and it's like last minute. So I figure there's going to be lots of baseball games, and there's lots of times that we can have dinner together. So sometimes I don't always go when I say that I am going to be there.
And how do they react to that?
Well, they don't like it at all. I mean, I missed my niece's school play, and my brother was really upset because I missed the play, but also because they had bought tickets that were $25 each, and he was just really angry with me and called me demanding the money for the ticket since I didn't show up, and it was kind of a big fight, and I didn't really quite understand it because I told him I was going to go, but at the time, my boyfriend at the time had a really bad day at work, and he just wanted to stay in, and that had to come first. That came first for me. So.
All right. So that would, you prioritize that over socializing, going to social events with your brothers.
Yeah, I guess I did.
And that's certainly a decision. Do you think that if you gave your brothers more priority with the social events, that would improve the relationship?
Yeah, I think they would feel better about that if I showed up when I said I was going to show up.
So maybe the objective would be if you commit to joining them at a social gathering that you follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now you mentioned there are some things get in the way of that, though.
Yeah, like I don't have a boyfriend right now, but when I do, sometimes things will come up, and I would rather spend time with my boyfriend than do other stuff sometimes. So.
So this will be work for you. This will be a little tough.
Mhm.
Do you think that's an objective? Showing up is an objective you can fulfill? Is it realistic?
I don't see why I can't do it now. My worry would be if I got into another relationship. I think it might be harder for me to it might be harder for me to always keep my commitments like I can when I'm single.
So this objective right now, fairly easy. Later on, maybe not.
Right.
Okay. So we'll have to keep this in mind that if and when you develop another relationship, like a romantic relationship, this might be an objective that is in jeopardy of being fulfilled. So,
I mean, in the past, it's been that way.
Historically, it's been that way for you? Okay. All right, so we'll go with those 3 objectives for improving the relationship with your brothers. So that's one goal. What would be a second goal?
Well, like I said, I don't have a boyfriend right now, but I really feel like I would like to be a wife someday, and having a real relationship is important to me. So a romantic relationship. So one goal would be to try to keep and maintain a healthy relationship, because my last one didn't go so well.
It didn't end well. All right. So really, finding a new relationship, but also maintaining it. All right. What do you think has made that difficult in the past?
Well, my last boyfriend, he would always complain that I just was too needy and too clingy, and I didn't give him enough space, and all those kinds of things that guys say.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that's true?
I just think that maybe he didn't love me as much as I loved him. Because if you really love somebody, of course you want to be with them all the time. I mean, isn't that what love is?
So in your value system, as you kind of look through that lens, right? We all have our own values. You look at relationships and think that if someone really loves you, they're going to tolerate a lot of communication attempts and calls and everything. So those relationships fail because they weren't really loving you.
Yeah, they weren't. They didn't seem to. I think maybe like in the beginning everything was fine, but then all of a sudden it's like, you called me too many times today, or I don't feel like going out tonight. And if they loved me, then they would do what I wanted. Wouldn't they want to talk to me during the day? I mean, it's a long time to go without talking to somebody you love all day long.
How many times would you contact them in a day?
Oh, maybe like 10 or 12, maybe 15 times.
Maybe 15. So could you appreciate that for some people, their value systems may be different, like the way they would manage relationships might be different, and that might seem like crowding?
I mean, yeah, it must be different because it's been a pattern of a problem for me. So a lot of people probably feel differently.
You've heard this feedback before. Yeah. All right. So one of the objectives might be to maybe restrict the number of contacts to something that's maybe more common. I know.
Like maybe like 5 times a day.
What have boyfriends in the past indicated would be?
Well, my last boyfriend said that it would be ridiculous to call any more than once a day, but I thought that was a little bit extreme.
So you're thinking 5, and from one person in the past, he was suggesting 1. Maybe for an objective we tried 3. There's no perfect answer here. It's
Right.
It's just trying to get close to a number that would maybe not have you appear as clingy or needy or whatever they're seeing you as, but still satisfy your need to communicate.
I think I could try 3, like maybe once in the morning and once in the middle of the day and maybe once in the afternoon. I think I could try 3.
All right. So again, like I asked you about the other goal, how important is this goal of finding and maintaining a relationship?
Oh, really important.
It's really important. Like so,
like a 10.
A 10. Okay. So again, keep that in mind as you're working through this objective, right? And maybe this is something we revisit depending on the relationship, right? Like maybe you'll find a boyfriend that wants to be contacted more or less, but we'll go with 3 for now.
Okay.
Right? And see how that works. What else has been a barrier in the past?
Well, some, it's kind of like being needy. It's kind of the same thing, but some of my past boyfriends always say that I move too fast, or I want a commitment that's too early. I want the commitment too early, or whatever.
All right. So again, this is kind of an example, another example where your values or your style of relationships is a little different than the men you've encountered. Right? So you're looking for commitment a little earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
I
right?
mean, I just feel like if you meet somebody and things click, pretty soon how much, soon if it's a good match or not. And why waste time if you have a good match, and if it's somebody you really like, why waste time? Why wait?
And that's what you believe, but the men that you've encountered, they don't seem to reciprocate that belief.
Not all the time, no.
Not all the time. So the talk or the gestures suggesting commitment seem to be scaring them away?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever kind of phrased it that way?
No, I don't always say that, but they will say you're getting too serious too fast, or I'm not that serious about all this, and then they'll just stop calling.
So there's a sense that they're being scared away a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So if you look at your past relationships, and we'll just call it commitment talk, right? Just
Okay.
commitment talk. I know you've had a few relationships in the past. How many times were you the one to initiate the commitment talk before they did?
Oh, probably me all the time.
All the time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because, men don't like commitment at all, so the woman has to sort of...
Jump in
and
bring up commitment.
Right.
So do you think that, I'm wondering here if there's not a way to strike a balance with that level of engagement, meaning kind of engage at the same level or a similar level of commitment as they're expressing. And that's really hard to make concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's kind of an abstract concept. Right? You see what I'm getting? It's like a balance between
Mm-hmm.
how much you would bring it up and how much they would bring it up. So I'm wondering if there could be maybe something we could measure a little better, like a time limit. A time limit from when a relationship starts until you introduce the idea of a commitment.
Well, one relationship that seemed to last a little bit longer than most of my others, I think that I did sort of move a little slower. It probably wasn't until probably a couple months in until I started talking about commitment. I kind of gave it a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like 2 months. Try to wait 2 months before I talk about commitment.
All right, so in a past relationship that was more successful,
Mm-hmm.
you were able to, or you chose to wait 2 months, and that seemed to be facilitative to a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, want to make that an objective? Is that something you think you can do? Is to restrict commitment talk or gestures to 2 months?
Mm-hmm.
Like wait 2 months. All right. So make that a goal. And I'm thinking as I'm looking at the other objective, that the improving the other goal rather, the improving the relationships with your brothers, that anger was a factor there. And I'm wondering if for the finding and maintaining relationships with the romantic interest,
Mm-hmm.
has anger been a factor in that?
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been many a times when if somebody didn't do what I wanted them to do or didn't call me back, it would be, a 2-hour lecture when they came home from work about why it's so important to call me back, or I can get really mean about things if I feel like I'm being rejected or not treated the way I think I should be treated, or if someone's acting in a way that I don't think is right. I'm pretty blunt about telling them about it. So definitely, it's been a lot of big fights in a lot of my relationships.
So this is similar to one of the objectives in the first goal, which was the not calling when angry. But I'm wondering if in your exchanges that maybe weren't angry, if the anger comes up while you're on the phone or while you're with them in person. Like, so it could start out not angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so with your brothers, you were calling them and kind of letting them have it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm wondering in these relationships, is that the way it's working, or are you having a good discussion with them and it turns angry?
It's more like that.
Is
It
it more
usually
like-
starts out okay, and then they'll say something that I don't like, or they'll
That's what I was thinking,
do
because you
something
mentioned
and then I-
rejection.
yeah.
So when that rejection is felt or perceived,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the anger is coming.
Yeah. Like if they cut me off too quick on a telephone call, or they say they're not going to be home till late or something like that, I can get really angry pretty quick.
Pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be maybe, I'm thinking of the objective here, maybe applying some of the coping skills that we'll be reviewing later on when you have feelings of rejection. It seems like the feelings of rejection are kind of leading to these, or contributing to these angry responses. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so you're perceiving rejection, and it feels like you're going right to anger.
Yeah, because I feel like if you love somebody, you're not going to reject them. You're not going to do that stuff. And I just want somebody to love me as much as I love them. And when they don't, yeah, I get really angry about it.
Right.
It hurts, so.
It's painful for you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an intervening thought. So when somebody rejects you, there's this intervening thought that somebody who would love you would not reject you.
Mm-hmm.
And then a thought's leading to this anger.
Mm-hmm.
So we call that an automatic thought, and we'll work on that later on, how to identify automatic thoughts and how to respond to them. But just for this point, we'll say apply coping skills when perceiving rejection.
Okay.
Is that?
Mm-hmm. You're going to teach me some coping skills, right?
I'll teach you the coping skills. Yeah, we'll work through them. Yeah, we'll work
Okay.
through them. There's some cognitive techniques. So part of this is going to be recognizing the rejection, which
Mhm.
it seems like you're able to do
Mm-hmm.
pretty well. This would be, adding a coping skill when you recognize that rejection.
Okay.
Does that sound like something that's achievable?
Yeah, I think I can try it. Yep.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the two goals and the two sets of 3 objectives that we've come up with for
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. I've got a lot of work ahead of me.
a lot of work ahead of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Think it's something you're able to follow through with? And
Yeah, because it's really important to me to have a better relationship with my brothers and to, find a good relationship for myself. So, yeah.
all right. Well, I'm going to type this up and give you a copy of this,
Okay.
right? And then next time we meet, we'll look at maybe a third goal. But I want to give you some time to kind of review this, make any changes you might want to make, or we can talk about that. So look at it, make any notes, and we'll talk about if it needs to be anything added or taken away.
Okay.
And then we'll work through the rest of the treatment plan next time I see you, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
So this kind of structures what's going to happen, right,
there.
in future sessions. So it's
Mhm.
important we get this right, but we can also change it if it's not working.
Okay.
Or when goals are met, which hopefully will be the result, we can take those off. If there's other goals we need to substitute in, we can do that.
Okay.
Does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So I'll get this typed up for you and get you scheduled for an appointment.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.